So my name is Dr. Sandra Moffat, and I am currently the Head of Department of the Global Business and Enterprise Department at Ulster University Business School on the Magee campus. I'm going to take this session today as Adele Griffin, the course director, only takes up post on the 1st of October. Adele is a member of staff within the department, but this is a new role for her, and I have been acting as course director for the MSc International Business for this past year. So I've got a good experience of the programme, the issues that students raise with me, and the solutions that we come to. So just some contact details there for Adele. Adele will end up being sort of the point of contact for any program issues that you may have, while your module coordinators will be the point of contact for any content within the modules or any module issues that you may have. I put the link on there for student support. That's very informative for our students in terms of support around finance and fees and academic registry, etc. So that's a good website to go in and have a look at, just to make yourself familiar with some of the university processes. As I talk through this afternoon session, I'm going to focus on the full-time version of the International Business course. Now, I am aware that students engaged in the session are on part-time versions. You may be on full-time or part-time in distance learning mode only. You may be on advanced practice mode. You may be taking specialism of data analytics or the specialism of human resource management, but the main structure of the course sort of follows this model, and then we have variations. So if you're on a different variation of the course and have any questions about that, please contact me directly via email, and I'll be able to help you with those issues. So as a full-time student, you're normally expected to take 4 modules per semester. And in semester 1 this year, all of our teaching is going to be virtual based on COVID-19. So I have listed the 4 modules there. You can see here is the name of the module, so Global Business in Context. The code of the module is BMG 705, so that's our module code. And then the CRN number outlines a particular 5-digit number that is based on the instance of the course. So for each semester that this module runs in, that will have a different code. For each variation of the course that the module runs in, that will have a different variation of the code. So it's very important that you double check that CRN number to make sure that you're registered on the correct version of the code. Now, if you choose the wrong one at enrolment stage, it's not the end of the world. We will be checking this over the first few weeks of the semester just to make sure that our lists tally up to what you have signed up to make sure that everyone's where they should be and registered on the correct modules. And if we do find any issues, or you find any issues and make us aware of them, we can conduct an internal process to get that rectified. So don't panic at this stage. The main thing is getting yourselves enrolled on the course, and then we can look at the different variations and correct changes internally. So the module coordinator then is listed in the second column. So you can see here that for BMG 705, the module coordinator is Damien. The email address of the module coordinator is listed on there, and then the day and the time of the interactive sessions are listed. Now, what we mean by that is, although everything is being taught virtually for this semester, there will still be contact time with the module coordinator and discussion groups with your class group. You should be encouraged to engage in those where possible. It's not mandatory. Some people said, oh, if I miss a session, is that me out of the course, or can I not complete or whatever? It's not mandatory, but attendance is important where possible. All of the content for the sessions will be recorded, like this one today, so you will be able to watch back the academic content of the programme. So it may be, for example, Damien talking through some of his slides or explaining some of the content which is a little bit tricky, or answering questions that he has received that he thinks would be useful for all participants on the module to be aware of. What you won't get recorded is the discussion groups. So we don't, under GDPR, record any of our student participation. So that means that you can participate in those sessions, enjoy the peer learning, have the discussion with your colleagues on the course, but that won't be recorded or disseminated out beyond, you know, sort of whatever happens in the classroom sessions. It will only be the academic content which is recorded and disseminated through our virtual learning environment. We have tried to stagger times for the modules sort of across afternoons and evenings. Just to, some people have sort of in past years came back just to say that they found it much easier to be able to engage maybe later in the day, having to just do school runs and things like that. And we are appreciative of that in the current environment, that some people are back working you know, part-time in their companies, some people are working full-time and will only be able to engage evening sessions. You know, so all of that content will be provided that you can dip into as necessary. And any questions you have, you will be able to contact the module coordinator, who, you know, your lecturer on that as well. I have put a little note on there for an additional session which will be held on a Tuesday starting in week 2, so that's starting from the 29th of September. And that's a session really giving some academic writing support for our international students. That session is open to everyone, and it is useful if you've maybe been out of the classroom for a while and haven't sort of had that practice at academic writing, to engage with that session. The first one will be led by Rosa, and she'll be able to sort of give you some support in that particular area. For Semester 2, our timetable is yet to be confirmed. And, you know, obviously the reason for that is COVID-19. It's very difficult for us to predict what the environment will look like, you know, post-Christmas, and whether we will be returned to an on-campus experience or whether we will still be in virtual mode. If it's in an on-campus experience for a full-time student, we will be holding the modules over a 6-week block. So you will complete 2 modules over 6 weeks, finish those, then take a further 2 modules over 6 weeks. Our semester runs for 12 weeks. Dates are available on the academic calendar of the semester, but more details will follow when we know which mode of delivery we're going to be in closer to the time. When you have completed all of your taught modules, then you can progress to either your dissertation or your applied research project. Damien manages all of our projects, but with support from individual supervisors. So your individual supervisor will guide you through the dissertation or the applied research project stage. If you have chosen the advanced practice element of the course, you will complete an applied research project prior to either your dissertation or your applied practice, or sorry, other way around. You will complete an advanced practice module before taking on your dissertation or research project. So the course structure for full-time students, as I've outlined, is normally 4 modules in each semester. For a part-time student, then you will complete 2 modules per semester. And if you're a part-time student and you're unsure which modules you should be completing in this semester, send me an email and I can help map that out for you. When you have passed all of your 8 modules, then you can progress on to the dissertation or applied project element of it. Okay. Our course for the International Business is very, very popular. It has been growing in popularity over this past number of years. And in relation to that, we very closely work with our local community and our local employers to make sure that the offering on the course in terms of content and assessment is what is required at a postgraduate level, but also at a skill level. So very much we're trying to look to push you obviously theoretically in your thinking, but we're looking to give you the practical skills that you can engage in industry at a higher level of performance. We're also keen to promote further research. So as we get to know you throughout the programme, and maybe you have an interest yourself in continuing your studies, we will be looking at sort of any postgraduate or PhD work that you could undertake as well. Okay, as mentioned, the academic calendar, I've put a link onto it there. This lists all of the semester times and exam times, etc., that you need to be available. Exam dates won't be applicable to your particular course. The MSc in International Business is 100% assessed via coursework, so you won't have any formal examinations to do. That means that when you're not in your taught semesters, so the autumn semester runs from the end of September to mid-December, the spring semester runs from the end of January to sort of mid-May. Outside of those times, you do not need to be committed to the university. Now, that's not to say that you won't have some coursework that you're, completing over Christmas break, or if an extension has been granted on certain modules that you don't maybe have a little bit of work to do. But we try to condense the program into those 12-week semesters so that students are able to work around that. Please note that holidays are not granted between term time. So in the 12-week semester, you will not gain approval for taking a holiday or having to return to your home country, etc., for a reason. That is not permitted. So within each module, and I'll go on to show you what I mean by a module and where you get the resources for that, but each module has a teaching plan. And within that teaching plan, staff have thought carefully about the content of the course, how the elements that they teach fit in with the elements that others will teach. We look at a consistent approach across the modules to ensure that students have the best possible learning experience. And we outline the content on a week-to-week basis so that you have an idea of what you're studying this week, what's to come, and how it all links together. So very often, as our students are working their way through the module, they will sort of question, where's this going? What's the relevance? I can't see why I'm doing this. By the time they hit the 12-week marker and reflect back on the module, they've got a fuller picture and totally appreciate all of the content that has been delivered as part of the module. Within each module, then, there are elements of assessment, and the purpose of assessment is for us to ascertain your level of understanding of the content that you've been given, and also to make sure that what you're providing as your assessment is your own work. So there's a check in there for plagiarism and contract cheating, and I'll come on to discuss that a little bit later on. From your perspective, the aim of the assessment is to do the absolute best possible that you can. This is a competitive environment. In industry, it's a competitive environment. So you want to be trying to get the best and highest level of accreditation for your postgrad qualification that you can get. 50% is the pass mark in all modules, and you must pass the modules within your semester to be able to sort of move on to the next semester. Or sorry, within the course to be able to move on. So what I mean by that is you can progress automatically from semester 1 to semester 2, But when you have completed all of your taught modules, if you have not passed them, you will need to undertake work in the supplementary period, normally the summer session, in order to reset or complete a first set of that piece of work before you can progress onto your advanced practice or your dissertation or applied research project. All of our teaching material is provided in the virtual learning environment known as Blackboard Learn, and I'll give you a demonstration of Blackboard Learn later in the session just so you can see how that operates. When you successfully enroll in the course and on your modules, you will gain access to the Blackboard Learn support area and the module area. Now that can take between 48 and 72 hours for the system just to roll over. So if you have enrolled and you're not able to get access to that particular tool just yet, don't panic. We are working through, as students are enrolling, academic registry are working through that process to make sure that you get registered onto the Blackboard system as well. It is a busy time of the year for the academic calendar, and the systems only run at a certain pace, so we do have to be patient in that regard. When you complete and submit a piece of assessment, you will get feedback, and feedback is given in many different ways. It's not like being in a school environment where you get to submit a piece of work, get some feedback, tidy it up a little bit, resubmit it, maybe get some more feedback, tidy it up, resubmit it. At university level, you only get one opportunity to submit your piece of work. So when that is on to the submission deadline and you upload your piece of work to the Blackboard Learning Support area, that is it, locked away. You can't access that again to amend it or to update it or to change it in any way. That piece of work then goes through a system known as Turnitin, and that is checking for validity of the work. It is checking any plagiarized content, so anywhere that you have maybe taken content from an academic journal or an article or another student's piece of work which you haven't given due credit for, and that will highlight that to us as a plagiarized piece of work. Plagiarized work is not marked. It gains a 0 mark for any of the plagiarized content in the particular piece of assessment, and there are penalties in place for students who have plagiarized intentionally and have repeat offenders per se. So just be aware of that feedback that you get one chance to submit your work. So you must make sure that that version is the best version that it can be. You will then get some written comments on your work submitted. So as it's marked and second marked, the markers will add comments on your work. And the idea of those comments is for you to take that feedback and to use it as a feed forward mechanism. So to use it to help strengthen your next piece of work for that particular module or for other modules. You may get an assessment feedback sheet attached to your online work as well, or a rubric. Computer generated tests often provide feedback in the form of correct answers, or we may have some oral discussion with you either in class or in a virtual collaborate session, which will just show you, sort of discussing through some of the general points of the feedback with the class. Throughout your studies with Ulster, you will be expected to email members of staff or members of the admin or learner support teams. And we ask you at this stage to be professional in that approach. It is very important before you go out to industry that you have these professional standards in place. So starting off with your salutation as in Dear Dr. Moffat or Dear Sandra, and ending up with a thank you, kind regards, best wishes. Be appreciative that staff have taken time and effort out of their very busy schedules to read your email, to maybe go off and search for some information on your behalf, to find a resolution to your query, to put you in contact with other people who can help you, etc. So it's nice to thank them for their efforts. Try and use proper spelling and grammar in your emails, as with any piece of assessment that you submit, and proofread your work. Often, it's very easy to make a typo or to misconstrue a message in some way. So it's good to sort of read through your work and just check that it is as you wish it to be. The policy across the department is to answer emails within a 48-hour period, and that applies to staff and students alike. That does not include sort of weekends or evenings. So therefore, if you send an email at the weekend, you will not get a response to it until 48 hours from 9 a.m. on a Monday morning. Now, that's not to say it will take us 48 hours to reply to the email. Often an email comes in and it's a very quick answer and we can respond immediately. But at other times, we will have to go and find out information from other sources. So rather than encouraging a whole stream of emails coming through on a particular issue, we will be constructive in our responses for you. So please be aware of that it's 48 hours for an email response. Attendance is compulsory, and while we're in virtual mode and not necessarily meeting face to face at various sessions and events, we will be keeping track of your attendance by looking at your engagement with the learning resources. So even if you've decided that you're not going to attend the weekly sessions provided to support you and will simply engage with the material that is provided online, we will be able to keep track of the efforts that you are making for the module. So we will look at the analytics behind your engagement, and that very often tells us how much you have engaged, when you have engaged, what time you have spent on the system, the types of information that you have looked at on the system, your level of engagement with assessment, looking at discussion forums, and so on. Attendance is key for a number of reasons. We know from experience that students who do not attend and do not engage typically fail the modules. By non-attendance, you don't pass. It's not like signing up for gym membership and hoping to be ending up really fit if you don't actually participate in the sessions. So it's crucial that you do engage. Non-engagement can result in the withdrawal of yourself from a particular program of study. So when we get to the stage of progress boards in January or final boards in June and August, often we would be asked to comment on the attendance of students who have maybe not performed to the best of their ability. Now, if staff don't know who you are, it's very difficult for them to actually give a character profile of yourself. Or if they look at the analytics and there's been very little interaction, it's difficult for us to make a case to say that you must be, able to continue on your courses. Attendance is also taken into account when we are asked to provide references for students. So as a student will go forward for a career opportunity, often the employer will come back to us as academics and ask for a character and academic profile reference. And again, if we don't know you, it's very difficult to make that recommendation. And in relation to those students who are seeking, student finance or maybe on a visa to attend the course, have tier 4 compliancy issues, etc., non-attendance will have a direct effect on those. So you will be at risk of getting those services removed if you do not engage with your course material. So as I've outlined, sort of the pass mark for each module is 50%. Obviously, we encourage you to have a higher grade than that. So grades over 60 percent are deemed to be a commendation, and grades over 70% are deemed to be a distinction grade. In order to be awarded an MSc International Business with a commendation, you will need to have an overall average 60 and a mark above 60 in your dissertation or applied project. For a distinction, that needs to be an average of 70 and a mark of 70 in your applied project or your dissertation. We do appreciate that at times things don't go as planned, maybe due to sickness or caring duties or a mishap or whatever the case may be. There may be at times where you need a little bit of extra support in order to complete a piece of assessment. So you may need a few more days, or you may need another opportunity to take that assessment, etc. And we have a process in place to enable you to do that. It's called the extenuating circumstances process, and the form that goes with that is an EC1 form. You'll be able to get a copy of the EC1 form from the university website, or if you email any of the module coordinators, they'll be able to give you a copy of that. Holidays are not extenuating circumstances, so you would not be given any special leeway to accommodate a holiday within the semester. There are consequences if you fail a module. So if you fail with no extenuating circumstances, you will be given one opportunity to resit that particular piece of work, but that will be capped at a mark of 50. So the most you can get is a basic pass for any reset work. If you have extenuating circumstances and the panel who considers your issues grants you a first sit, you will be able to undertake that piece of work again for the mark that would have been awarded. So you may be able to get a 70% on that piece of work, or a 74 or a 76, whatever the case may be. If it's a reset, irrelevant of whether the original mark would have been 74, 76 or whatever, you would just be getting your cap mark of 50. If you fail a module twice, so that's at a first sit and a reset, you are automatically exited from the course. So you only really get 2 chances in order to complete and pass a module. Taking on postgraduate study is challenging. The environment that we are currently working in will increase that challenge, but it won't change the essence of the task that you have ahead of you. That's not to put you off. It's a very rewarding experience. I myself studied my master's degree on a part-time basis while working full-time. So I do appreciate the demands that study, family, personal life, work, etc. can place on your time. And it really is up to you at this stage to manage that process and become an independent learner. Developing peer networks is key. You will get to know other members in your course. Even though we're having sessions virtually, there will be opportunities for developing those friendships that you would have if you were sitting beside someone in a classroom. I would encourage you to utilize your time as best as possible with the module coordinator, with the module support, and with the course director. So your module coordinator or lecturer is responsible for the core delivery of your program. They will provide all of the content in relation to the module, they will provide the collaborative support sessions, and they will manage the discussion forums, etc. They will also conduct all of the admin for your particular module, and in terms of the assessment and marking and recording of marks and so on. Each of the modules in first semester for postgraduate study have been allocated a module support person. And that module support person will offer an additional session for 1 hour per week for any students that are not able to engage at face-to-face contact time with the module coordinator So we'll have an opportunity to be online, that you can ask questions around the module content, or the assessment, or any general queries that you may have. The course director, who will be Adele Griffin, takes responsibility for the leadership and management of the programs as a whole. So she doesn't get into the module detail per se, but she has oversight and responsibility for all of the modules, and will be, taking responsibility for your course of development as a student. And then as head of department, I manage the entire postgraduate programs across the department, and take an overseeing role for all of those as well. So I had mentioned plagiarism before. So plagiarism is where you sort of take responsibility and accountability for a piece of work that is not necessarily yours. The definition of plagiarism is the use of material drafted by others in unacknowledged forms. So maybe you have found a really good statement in a journal article, and you copy it and paste it into your piece of work, but don't reference that properly. You don't name the source of where you got the material from. That will flag up on our detection system, and there are penalties in place for doing that. There's also penalties in place for crack cheating. So by getting someone to undertake a piece of work for you, to submit a piece of work on your behalf, etc. All of those have severe penalties, both at the departmental and university level. So at this stage, I would encourage you to totally disengage from that type of activity. You do not want to be putting your postgraduate study at risk by including content that is not necessarily yours. We are vigilant in the detection of plagiarism where we think it's unintentional, so it has been a slip or a mistake on your behalf. We will work with you to help you identify where that has arisen and what you can do to rectify it. But there are cases where students will continuously submit plagiarized work knowing that the process is incorrect, and that's where the penalties come into play. There are relevant documentation that we have to have in place for our students. For example, if someone wishes to withdraw from the programme, maybe circumstances have changed and you have to pause the programme and take some time out through a leave of absence. You may wish to change your course. That rarely happens at postgraduate level, to be fair. But all of this documentation must be signed off by your course director. So if you have any issues in relation to your course at a programme level, please contact Adele and she will be able to direct you to the system. We also have 5 admin members of staff within the department, and 2 of them work directly on the postgraduate elements, so they'll be able to help you as well to complete some of the university documentation as it arises. Okay, I've mentioned the EC1 form and the process in relation to that. I've just put a link on there to the Student Health and Wellbeing and for academic problems. And that's a really good guide that if you are having a problem, that website will talk you through the problem and talk you through the process to reach a resolution. So there's lots of lots of information, support available on the university resources. I don't think at this stage you will come up with a question that we haven't been asked before or that we'll be unable to resolve. So if you're having any concerns or issues that you wish to raise, please ask the question and give us the opportunity to help you find a solution. For our postgraduate students, it's important that we are aware of where you're living, and this is really important for our international students because we do have to make reports back to compliance on your whereabouts on a weekly basis. We will check your progress of engagement through the data analytics on Blackboard Learn, but if you are moving house or changing your address for any reason or decided maybe to leave the UK and return to your home country, etc., you must complete a change of address form so that at all times, if the visa authority comes and asks us to take to do a spot check that you are actually living in student accommodation or living in a local address, etc., that we are able to provide that address and facilitate that request. So that is very, very important for our international students. There are lots of communication that you will have throughout the year. So the first one is the student handbook, and I'll show you in a moment on Blackboard Learn how you access that. The student handbook is our two-way contract of what we expect from you as a student and what you expect from us as lecturers. So that will talk you through the rules and regulations of the course, and it's worth just having a read at that student handbook so that you understand what you're signing up for as a postgraduate student. There is the course support area on the virtual learning environment, and through that you will get some announcements of things happening throughout the year, for example work opportunities or internship opportunities, etc. But you will also get content via email from departmental level, faculty level and university level. So it's important that you are constantly keeping a check on your email and keeping a check on the Blackboard Learn announcements as well. The admin team are based within the ML building. I have uploaded the induction slides from this morning so you can have a look at what we mean by the ML building and where to find the admin team. And then I have outlined those who will be supporting you throughout your course. The notice board on the ML floor outlines sort of anything that may be of relevance to you as a course team. Now obviously that's going to be effective for the first semester, so any notifications that I need to get in touch with you or that Adele needs to notify you of will be through email or the announcements. At this stage, as you're enrolling, we are aware that there has been some issues with the university system for international students. So it's very important that over the next few weeks, as you're enrolling onto the course, that we check with you that you are enrolled in the right version of the course, that you've got the variant of the module that you need to be on, and that you're on the right degree programme that you want to be. So while it is your responsibility to check that you're registered on the correct modules, it's our responsibility to help you to fix it should errors arise. So I will be working with the admin team over the next few weeks just to double check our student list to make sure that you are on the right modules and that you'll get the credit for the module as you move forward. Often what flags up that you're on the incorrect module is if you can't get to the module support area that everyone else is on. So then we know that you've registered incorrectly. So please do flag any issues you have with myself. Any queries about the enrolment process goes through academic registry. Any queries about finance goes through the university finance office. I've put a link on there which will show you all of the information you need in terms of the student processes. So that covers the student union, it covers academic registry, it covers the exams office, student finance, accommodation, student support, etc. So it's worth dipping into that resource to have a look at that. Unfortunately, the department cannot make any decisions over student finance, and we have to engage with academic registry in order to do anything with your student record. With GDPR, we do not hold that sort of information at a departmental level. Over the next few weeks, I will be contacting you seeking class reps. There's a video on there from the Students' Union just outlining the job, I suppose, of a class rep and what's expected. The class rep is an excellent way of being the voice for your class. So it's a little bit like being the prefect or the head boy or head girl when you were at school. This gives you an opportunity to help us shape the development of the classes that you are currently in, but also for future years. The class rep plays a very important role in telling us maybe issues that are arising at a certain period of time. So for example, if everyone in the class would like a week's extension to a piece of coursework, that request often comes through the class rep. They're also useful in telling us what we're doing well. Okay, and it's important that as we're developing our courses and evolving our courses, that we don't remove an aspect of the course that you find very useful and very important. So having that discussion with the class reps allows us to think of changes, think of updates, but also to maintain the high standard of the modules that are already in existence. So just a few useful tips for you there. I would draw your attention to the second two. So if you're looking to undertake your postgraduate in a bid to upskilling your career opportunities, maybe you're looking at a new challenge, maybe you want to take on more of a management role, or you want to move company completely, or perhaps this is your first time venturing in on an industrial engagement. It's very important to think about your career aspirations at this stage and to utilise the support that there is within the university from careers and employability, but also from the lecturing staff to make sure that we are helping you reach the career that you have in mind. So helping you reach your career aspirations. My second piece of advice would be resilience. This may not be the perfect experience for some of you. There will be times when things will change in terms of your academic or personal circumstances, and you will need to ask for help. You may make mistakes along the way, and we ask that you learn from those mistakes, take our feedback on board, take the advice that we give you, and come back fighting. I don't want anyone at this stage embarking on a postgraduate course to feel that they can't complete that to a very successful level due to lack of support. The support is here for you. We will help you in every way we can, but you must ask for that help. So now I'm just going to leave the presentation and show you some of the resources that are useful for you to dip into. So thank you for your attention so far in terms of the presentation. So this page takes you to the information for Welcome Week. And Welcome Week is over a 4-week period. This is sort of the orientation to help you settle in to Ulster University as a student. So as you go in, you can scroll down your list of courses that are available within the department, and you simply choose the course which applies to you. So if we get to the International Business, here you can see the full-time version, the part-time version, the postgraduate certificate version, international practice, and so on. So you choose the course that's most relevant to your needs, and that will give you some course information. So here I have selected the full-time version. As I link in, you can see some welcomes from the provost of the campus and from University Life. You can see some details there in terms of registration helplines, how to upload your photograph for your ID card, to complete your online enrolment if you haven't done so at this stage. Some essentials for remote learning, which are useful, making sure that you've got access to your email, to the student portal, managing your antivirus and your passwords, etc. And then your information on the student guide is there as well, which is some useful information in terms of COVID and how to access some of that material. So it's useful to have a look at that Welcome Week programme. You will notice from today that there has been a number of sessions for support. I have the induction talk from this morning. I have uploaded that onto the module support area, sorry, the course support area. I will show you that in a moment. But there are additional sessions being offered from student wellbeing, registry, employability, the library, students union, and information services over the next few weeks. So you can sort of link in and have a look at those. And then at the bottom of the page is my contact details and some details about the campus. This is the program support area for the MSc International Business. So when you get enrolled onto your course and get your Blackboard access validated, as I said, this can take between 48 and 72 hours, you will be able to come on and have a look at this area. So you'll see here just with the tabs, we have our welcome that we're in now. So that really just provides some overview for and provides my contact details. You will have a section there, sorry, on course content. So if I go into that, you'll see where the student handbook is for the course. Your timetable information is up there. The induction information from today is up there. So there's the head of department welcome and a welcome letter. And then just some general information around the course. Okay, so course support information, etc. Assessment and feedback, library, academic support. So it's worth having a look at your course support area. You will also then get registered onto your module areas, and this is an example of a module area. So laid out very much the same way. There will be a module welcome. Oh, sorry, apologies. The module welcome from the module coordinator. There will be the module handbook, which gives an overview of the module and the assessment regime. See the course team related to that module. Any announcements that are posted on that module will be posted on the announcements page. And then the learning materials is where you get content for that particular module. So if I go into this one, you can see here that all of the content is provided for weeks 1 to 12. When I click on a particular week, it takes me into the details, so the slides and the practical work for that particular module. Okay? And each module area will be designed specifically to the needs of that module and to the needs of that student cohort. That is really it for today's session. I think I've given you enough there as an information overload. But if you have any queries that you want me to answer, don't hesitate to ask for support. Come back and I can help you sorry, as best I can over the next couple of weeks. I am here to try and make your transition into postgraduate study as easy as possible. So please don't be a stranger. I look forward to getting to know you over the next few weeks, months and years ahead. And we look forward to that day when we're all celebrating your graduation in a few years' time. Thank you very much for your attention this afternoon. Take care, stay safe, and I will chat to you soon.